So in some of this year's creepiest movies, we've seen creepy stalkers, we've seen creepy old people, we've seen a creepy metaphorical STD demon that follows you around everywhere you go, but can anything prepare us for a Skype ghost? Well, gee, when I put it like that, it just sounds stupid. Tonight's movie is called Unfriended, and this film follows a group of high school friends who are all talking to each other on Skype, but then there's this mystery caller who they can't hang up on, and they're being harassed by this individual who has something to do with a girl they used to know who committed suicide a year ago. Now, could this person be just a close friend of the girl, or is it actually her contacting them from beyond? Now, Unfriended is actually a found footage movie, but the way that it's done is kind of unique to this subgenre because the entire film is shown through this computer screen and through these Skype cameras. I actually found that really interesting, and that was what mostly got me, wanting to see this movie. I thought this film had a pretty decent setup going for it at the beginning. I mean, it starts off with some sloppy exposition, but right after that, once you first start seeing the signs that the main character is being contacted by this stalker who might be the dead girl, I actually thought it was pretty damn creepy, and I was expecting this film to end up scaring the shit out of me, and that was when I was introduced to the cast of characters. I've heard other reviewers complain about the fact that the characters in Unfriended are all assholes and they're all unlikable, but going in, I didn't really mind that too much. I mean, you don't need to have a cast of likable characters to make a movie interesting, as long as the characters are interesting. And I've even mentioned in the past that having unlikable characters in a horror movie can add a layer of darkness to the story. But I still didn't mind by the end how unlikable these kids were as much as how irrationally and irredeemably stupid they were. I mean, I could make a list of the dumbest character moments in this film. In fact, I think I'm.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
Number 5. There's a scene in this movie where the mystery Skype caller starts to turn these friends against each other by hacking into someone's Facebook account and posting these incredibly embarrassing photos of someone else who is part of the call. Now, if someone hacked into my account and did this, I would be really freaked out, and most of all, I would be angry over the situation, and I'm sure you would as well. But what does this person do? She starts laughing at how embarrassing the photos are. Number 4, there's a point in this movie where things have gotten serious, people have died left and right, so the main character decides to get help by not calling 911 or doing anything that makes sense, but instead she logs into chat roulette. Now, I've visited chat rooms in the past with the goal in mind of getting help with some very simple shit, and it took me forever to actually get results from this because, as it turns out, most people that you find in chat rooms are about the least helpful jackasses that you'll find on the internet. It doesn't even matter if you're discussing a serious subject. I remember back in the day, I was in this chat room, someone mentioned that someone in her neighborhood had been decapitated by her boyfriend, and people were still trolling about this, like, that bitch shouldn't have been running her mouth, lol. If you need help with anything, a chat room should be your last result. You would be better off writing a note and tying it to your dog's leg. Number 3. When the main character is talking one-on-one with the mystery caller, who may or may not be the girl who killed herself, she denies up and down that she had anything to do with the bullying that led to her suicide. which might be okay, except that there is evidence contradicting that statement, and she knows it. Not only that, but this individual has already shown that she or he has access to her and her friend's dirtiest secrets. So basically, it would be the equivalent of me punching you in the face and then wondering why the hell you just punched me back. Like, what the fuck's your problem, bro? Number two, when something bad first happens to one of these friends, the main character says that this person, named Val, has a history of having seizures, so she decides to go to Google and type in Val seizures. For the record, I actually struggle with depression, but if I ever need your help with this in the future, Google searching Joe Depression isn't going to teach you a damn thing. And finally, number one, surprisingly enough, was not committed by the main character, but by one of her friends. There's this guy who just gets so completely fed up with the mystery caller. He gets so pissed off about the harassment that he decides to go and get a gun, and he points it at his webcam. And by the way, if any of you leave a negative comment on this video, I swear I will stab this camera. That'll show you something. Anyway, getting back into the review, I actually thought some of the death scenes in this movie were pretty cool. There was one in particular involving a curling iron that I loved, but while this movie sets up its own rules for how these death scenes work, and those rules are actually pretty damn terrifying, at the very end, it just completely loses consistency. Again, I'm not gonna spoil anything here, but just imagine if you were watching one of the Friday the 13th films and Jason was going around killing people with handheld items like an axe, a chainsaw, a machete, because it's Jason. But then at the very end, when he's down to the final girl, and you know it's going to be a girl because it's Jason. Jason all of a sudden summons this swarm of bees, and the final girl dies from bee stings. That's about how much sense the ending of this movie made to me. In the end, Unfriended is one of the most superficial horror films I've seen in recent memory, and it does not come recommended. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about this movie. I hope you all have a good one.